Ferrari is not an automobile company. Ferrari is a luxury goods company. Ferrari doesn't have to be even though they say they don't have to be at the forefront of the technology. Ferrari is competing with brands like Lotus McLaren, Aston Martin. Have you heard of a Koenigsegg? Yeah, I only know about it because my son knows about Koenigsegg. But there is forever going to be a demand and a desire for a man, specifically it's more often men than women, to have a ride that makes them feel special. And they are in the business of providing rides for people who want to feel special. The same way that's what Bentley does. It's not about the technology in the car. So, the technology in a Bentley, who cares? They can buy it all in. But they've got to be absolute experts in making the owner of the car feel like they're $1 million. In the same way that Hermes are absolute experts at figuring out how to make the woman who buys the Birkin bag feel like she is $1 million. And what's interesting about that luxury goods space is that I think so many people are affected by it and they don't even know they're affected by it. You see somebody say, "Oh, why do you like that watch?" And they say, "Oh, I don't know. I don't care about watches." It's like, "Oh, would you wear this watch? Or would you wear this Garmin?" No, I like this watch. Why? I don't know. I don't care. They're affected by it. And, if you look at, it's probably 30% of all back covers of The Economist basically are Rolex advertisements. And, Warren Buffett wears a Rolex. He probably doesn't know the name of the brand, but he wears a Rolex. That's interesting. Look at any photos of him you see with him with a Rolex. So what's my point? That's what Ferrari is. And it's a very, very, and if you haven't done it, you will never do it, John, because you don't do that kind of thing. But at the time when Monish owned a Ferrari, I, in California, went into a couple of dealers, and Monish talked to me about what the dealership experience was like. And they take you down a very, very narrow, very specific rabbit hole that takes you to a very weird place that makes you do crazy things like buy cars for insane amounts of money, and they're very good at it and they know exactly how to do it, and they're tapping some very, very basic human needs and core instincts. And I would tell you the one time I've driven a Ferrari, Monish's blue Ferrari 488, I can't believe how many heads turned. I was driving 55 miles per hour down the highway in Irvine. And it does something to people, and so that's what you're buying, actually. So the content technology and all of that stuff,
Yeah, I guess my question really is as an investor, because investing is more like a pari-mutual betting system. Like, you're not just picking the horse that's going to win the race, you're picking the horse with the best odds compared to the chance of winning. And, so as an investor, like you said, there's a Bentley, there's Aston Martin, there's Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And Bentley and Lamborghini are owned by Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Which maybe they could spin out. So there's kind of an interesting valuation case with something like a Volkswagen. So as an investor, how do you pick your spots? Because, Ferrari, as we talk here, has a market cap of 78 billion.
Yeah.
Aston Martin's market cap is 1 billion.
Yeah.
And the mind share of those brands is not 78-1. It's almost like 1-1. If you were to ask someone, do you prefer Ferrari to Aston Martin? You would hear, some people say this, some that, but not like a 1 billion to 78 billion seems kind of
rough,
excessive.
Yeah. So what I'd say to that is, not that I want to turn around on myself. I've trimmed my Ferrari position twice, left a lot of money on the table, but for those reasons, not to buy Aston Martin, but just because it was looking expensive. I would tell you that I'm not 100% sure, but so it's literally conversation with John Elkann. He's taking people from the Buffett lunch in Omaha. He's got a Berlinetta, so he's got a Ferrari there. And he's taking some people, so he takes Monish for a drive, other people for a drive, like have a nice conversation, experience all of those things. And I say to him, oh yeah, you know, I own a Line 11, you know, I love the car, so nice car. He said to me, Guy, Ferrari's got, there's chalk and cheese. And I'm like, okay. He said, you should just try it sometime. So like 5 years later, I get into the Monish's. I didn't understand until I got into Monish's 488 what the difference was. I'm not sure. I don't know. I actually have been in an Aston Martin. That it looks the same to you, but it might not be the same. And you say, what's the difference that I can actually point out? Well, Aston Martin right now is not in the Formula One, but I think they're coming into the Formula One. They're going to put up a team. So see how they do when they have a team. But there are multiple subtle things that make the brand what it is and make the desire what it is. And the person from the outside cannot necessarily see it. So I'm not sure that Aston Martin and Ferrari are the same thing. Definitely Lamborghini and Bentley, they're part of a big conglomerate, which has some advantages, but it has a lot of disadvantages as well. I'd give you one thing, for example, with Bentley, which is so interesting. So one of the aspects of the business model that Ferrari that works so well is that actually now Ferrari do have sales rooms in the center of town. Every now and then they get like 2 models to just like show off. There's one on Park Avenue, for example, but the Ferrari buyer doesn't mind going to the edge of town to buy his Ferrari. The Rolls-Royce and Bentley guy wants to have a very nice showroom and everything right there in the center of town. So the distribution costs for Bentley and Rolls-Royce are much higher because they have to have very expensive real estate in town for the buyer to be there. But they need all the servicing facilities out of town as well anyway. So are they the same thing? I don't know. But I think that I just go to, you know, so even I've owned Ferrari for a decade. I've made enormous amount of money in it. I've done enormous amount of research. I spent a whole bunch of money through GLG talking to all sorts of people about Ferrari. But I still really can't tell if Ferrari is the equivalent brand as an Aston Martin. You know, and I wouldn't want to make that bet actually. Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. What was the last big topic in the last 1 or 2 years that you've changed your view on?